I went 72 hours without eating a single calorie, just water. And honestly, it changed everything and how I think about food entirely. I know what you're thinking. That sounds extreme, maybe even a little bit dangerous. I thought the same thing. But you know what? After months of feeling bloated, low energy, and just off, I decided to do some research and actually try it myself. And lo and behold, a program, as I was doing the research, came to fruition and I was able to join and participate in a program. So I'm actually going to walk you through exactly what water fasting is, why I do it, and everything that a beginner needs to know before trying. Let's get into it. So the first question is what is a water fast? And most people do confuse this with intermittent fasting or juice cleanses. That is not what it is. And I noticed even on social media when I started bringing in, I was sharing in my stories that I was talking about water fasting and what that looked like. People were like, oh, I do intermittent fasting, or I've tried intermittent fasting to lose weight, and etc. And I do want to share, this is not the same. This is not the same. Water fasting is definitely something that has been around for thousands of years. And honestly, just to define what water fasting is in simple form, is that you only have water for an extended period of time, 24 to 72 hour in length, right? I want to just briefly mention what the benefits are, a little bit of information behind it so that you have a clear understanding of why you might want to do it or not, right? But why I chose to do it. Now we get our body goes into a state I'll break through the explanation of the different phases that you go through as you're doing the water cleanse. But this is something that has been around, like I mentioned, for thousands of years. It's still in practice. The primal tribe over in Africa and stuff like that, they still have to hunt and gather their food. So they fast almost daily, right? And it is one of those things, or maybe even a couple days, if they can't find food, they don't get to eat. So it's not like us where we can just whip up eggs or, have whatever it is on command. They have to go, or on demand, whichever one you want to say. They have to go. And they have to go into the forest and find their food before they're even being, able to ingest anything. So just a brief description of kind of what happens when you're doing a water fast. Now, first off, the first phase is digestion and glycogen depletion. So this is 0 to 18 hours. So in the first 0 to 4 hours, your body is in the fed state. It's happy, right? Insulin is active, it's absorbing nutrients, and it's storing any excess glucose as glycogen. Now, hour 4 to 18, glycogen stores begin to drop and the blood sugars start to stabilize. And hunger pains peak as ghrelin, is the hunger hormone, starts to surge. So then in phase 2, this is where we go into the fat burning part of the fast. So hour 18 to 24. And this is where the liver glycogen is depleted and your body starts producing glucose from other substrates. So fat burning increases just to meet the energy demand, right? And our fat is our energy for our bodies. Our bodies are designed pretty fucking amazing and are able to really heal and help and keep us alive, right? So when it gets into phase 3, this is where ketosis happens. And this is hour 24 to 48. So in that time, that's when your body enters ketosis and the liver starts breaking down fat into ketones, which become food for your brain and your body. So this is where fat loss can actually accelerate. This is where or why many people do this for weight loss, but this is not the intention for me to be sharing this with you. When we get into phase 4, you go into what they call autophagy hours. And in this time, this is where your body's mechanism for deep cellular cleanup peaks. This is why I do it. The cells degrade and it recycles damaged proteins and old debris that's, in the body. It's basically a cleaning mechanism for your body, getting rid of the damaged cells and repair and give you a so when we go into autophagy, that's where like a lot of times people will say, well, it's going to eat it eats your protein and it eats your muscles. And yeah, it can. But first, the protein that it's going to search for first is the cells. So it's going to do that deep cellular cleanup for it. The human growth hormone is very high in peaks. Inflammation significantly decreases. So it's going to help those joints and, any inflammation that might be showing up within the body. So you can do prolonged water fast. So yes, 72 hours is the norm, or 24 to 72 hours is the norm. You can do longer, up to 7 days, and it can provide, like, the longer you're able to stay in it, it can provide deeper benefits, but it also carries increased risk of electrolyte imbalances and should only be done under supervision, medical supervision, and making sure when you're going through this. So this is exactly the reason why that I do it, is to help with inflammation and also to go into autophagy. Now that you know what it is, this is why I actually started doing it. So here's the part that nobody talks about. Most people walk around with symptoms that their body is showing them, and they're calling it normal. It's not normal for you to have symptoms. It's the way your body is trying to communicate to you. So just to share a little bit about why I decided to do this in the first time, like I mentioned earlier, I was definitely depleted. My energy was low. I had gained excess weight. I was literally looking at my ankles going, when did I get swollen ankles? And I considered myself a fairly, very healthy person, actually. And so when I was noticing these different symptoms showing up in my body, I was like, Krista, you are in control of looking after your body, no one else. And so that was the main reason that I decided. And I started doing investigations and research with regards to it. And there was a program that happened to appear for me that I was like, this is exactly what I need. And so I decided that I was going to do this water fast. And there was a few surprises in this program that I wasn't expecting, but they were all for the good. And I'm so glad that I went through that program and was, got way out of my comfort zone doing this. And so the very first time that I did a water fast, it was something that really, I was scared. I didn't think I could do it because I love to cook. I love good food. I was like, man, I don't know if I can literally let go of food for 72 hours. And so it was something that really, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take this one day at a time. Every 24 hours, and I'll make the decision, every morning, how I'm feeling, what the choice is for the day. And that's how I went into my first water. And it was something that, like, I had made a decision to do it. And that's why I think, like, I didn't need the motivation. I didn't need to be told to do it. I wanted to. And that's often the difference with regards to doing something and not doing something, is that it's a choice, right? And I made a choice that I wanted to do this. I wasn't looking, for a pat in the back. I wasn't looking for any of that. After learning more about what it might look like, I decided to jump into this program, and I committed to my first 72-hour water fast. And here's what actually happened. First off, if this is resonating with you, I want you to hit subscribe. I share real wellness experiments like this every single week. What my experience looked like, I want to share with you, is that I want to just kind of set the expectations of this. Now, everybody's experience is going to be completely different. And honestly, every time I've done a fast, it's been completely different. I'm the same body. It's just different circumstances of what has been going on in my life, and what has been, what I've been eating, what I've been drinking, what I like, stress levels, like things like that, right? I'm going to walk you through what exactly happened for me and my experience as I went through my last water fast. I actually just finished one last week, and I'm going to share with you because that's the most recent one that I can think of. I always start my water fast in the evenings. So after my last meal, and I start from, so if I eat at 7:00 that evening, that's when my fast starts, right? So your last meal, and then you carry on from there. So honestly, hours 0 to 12 are pretty easy because you have had dinner, your body's fed, you feel content, you go to sleep, right? In the morning when you wake up, so in hour 12 to 24, I will be honest with you, day one is typically the hardest day because you have to try and control the mind, because the mind is the one that is constantly telling you that you need to eat. Your body might give a little growl. Your body might, moan a little bit too. But in all honesty, it's the mind that we really need to control on day one. And so there is certain things too that I noticed this time of like not going to have coffee. Some people say you can have black coffee. I don't like coffee enough to drink black coffee. I like a little cream, so I just choose not to have it. So, but it was breaking that habit of going to have that coffee in the morning was a little challenging, a little different, but that's okay, right? So then what I typically do is first thing in the morning, I have a glass of water, obviously, but I put a pinch of Himalayan pink salt or else red sea salt, and I will put that into my water. Because the thing is when you do a water fast, when you're consuming so much water, you can deplete your electrolyte imbalance, like it can cause an imbalance in your electrolytes. So having just a pinch of that sea salt, then the reason that you want to use that and not table salt is because it has the minerals in it that help you with the electrolyte. It really is just drinking water all day. And so one of the things that I find that is really helpful for myself on that first day is to keep myself as busy as I can. Don't sit around thinking about food, right? And one of the things that was really funny, the one day I was on social media and I was doing some work, and everything that was coming up was recipes. And I was like, yeah, I think I need to take myself off this. And so I did. It was just something that I was like, I don't need to tempt myself. The very first time I will tell you that I did a water fast, I continued to cook dinner for my entire family, but I did not eat a bite. I didn't lick a spoon. I didn't taste it, nothing. And so that was a true test on that one. But the last one, I actually came out to my cabin. I didn't even bring food, so that made it really easy. I couldn't eat because I didn't have any food at all here. So I made the process as simple and as easy for myself as I could. Now, obviously, sometimes you can't wait to go to bed so that you could just get through the next one. So day one is typically the hardest. Then day two, when I wake up, same thing. I just drink water. Now, as you're doing this, sometimes I'll go for walks, right? I typically go for a walk first thing in the morning because when you create energy, you make more energy, right? Often I feel very energized when I'm doing my fast. I do remember one fast, actually, I think it might have been the last time at the beginning of the new year that I did one. And it was probably the worst one that I had experienced. And it wasn't terrible. It's just I did have caffeine headaches. I did have a lot of cravings, but I literally stopped fasting right after Christmas. So I'd had tons of like sweets and treats, things that I don't typically eat, drank lots of wine, had lots of like foods I typically wouldn't eat. And I know that was why that experience was the way that it was, because I had literally overloaded my body with things that I don't typically, and I experienced what that felt like. So that was probably one of my toughest experiences. So then literally from, 24 to 48 hours, I just wake up in the morning and I'm like, how am I feeling about today? Do I want to continue? And most of the time I'm like, yeah, I can. So I will, in my experience, now this might be different for you, but in day 2, 3, I've done up to 5 days. The longer you do it, like this past time, I think my stomach growled one time that I remember. Only one time. And I want to say that was actually on day 3 before my stomach even growled. So the thing is we are so used to being full and fed that we don't even know what an empty stomach feels like. And so that is often when we think we're hungry. It's just an empty stomach. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to. So this is also something that I really love about fasting, is that it kind of does that reset for your fullness level. And you're able to kind of retrain and teach yourself what full actually feels like. And so then hour 48 to 72 is, again, just another option for you to see how it goes, right? A lot of times I'll take it past the 72 because 72 would take me to 7 o'clock on that, 3 days later. And I'm like, oh, I can go overnight again. Right. So then I think it ends up being 84 84 hours is what I typically do when I do. Now, you don't have to. You could do, I believe, this last one, actually, I ended up doing for 4 days. I was hungry by day 4. And I was like, oh, I really would like some food today, but I didn't have any here. So as soon as I went home in the afternoon, I fast with some bone broth. So that's kind of been my experience. It's been different every single time. There's been different struggles. There's been real life wins too, like things that I didn't expect. And so by the end, I really didn't know how I was going to feel. And I didn't know what to expect. But honestly, here is what changed. I want you to drop a comment if you have ever tried fasting. I want to know. So some of the things that changed for me is that almost immediately I was sleeping better. And that's the thing, is I don't typically have a hard time sleeping. And the last few weeks I had been, and I was like, what is going on? So I almost immediately had, I think the first night that I did my fast, I slept for 8 hours solid, didn't wake up. And I was like, wow, I needed that, right? And that's the thing, is that it's just so fast, so quick. Also, I mean, giving up alcohol doesn't interrupt, you don't interrupt your sleep, because alcohol always triggers in the middle of the night that it needs more, right? Your body needs more. Just giving up those things temporarily makes such a benefit to the body. So what I also noticed was the mental clarity. The brain fog lifted almost immediately. Like, I would say probably within, by day 2 for sure. And, like I said, sleeping better, the clarity, brain fog was lifted. I hardly had any hunger pains, which this was the first time that I had experienced that. My energy was up. Like, most people think, oh, I can never do it because I'll be so weak. That's not true. It really isn't. Your body, like I said earlier, is absolutely incredible. It knows how to survive. It's been designed incredibly. It knows how to survive. And so there's been so many different things, when the very first time I did a fast, right after that, well, it took a few weeks, but once, like, I've even noticed this time, the inflammation around my ankles has gone again. Also because I'm walking more as well too, right? So it's almost like a trigger effect, that when you start doing one thing good for your body, it makes you realize that there's other things that you can do for your body, right? So wouldn't it be amazing if you just kept stacking things that you can do for your body to ultimately feel your best? There were so many different things, like even the habit of coffee. Like, I still haven't had coffee. It's been 10 days now. I haven't had coffee. I haven't had a glass of wine. I actually have only just started implementing fruit and vegetables back into my regular day. And I do keep my meals extremely simple. And I'll share that in another video, kind of how I break my fast and what that looks like. But which brings me to the big question, is like, a lot of times people are like, should I try this? And if you've ever skipped breakfast and felt surprisingly fine, you've already fasted, which that would be more like intermittent fasting, but it is the beginning of the fasting stage. So if you're a beginner and you're kind of wondering, like, should I do this? I'm going to first off say this is not for everyone. And I want to be completely honest with about this. And I also want to be responsible about it, because I understand that this is not for everyone. My health is extremely important to me, and I have a lot of knowledge behind health and what your body is capable of doing and stuff. So okay, but that's not everybody, right? And so, I would encourage you to try 24 hours and see how you feel after 24 hours. I believe everyone can fast. It's just whether that's the right fit for you or not. That's your choice. But then also making sure you are talking with your doctor if you have any chronic illnesses or, things like that. So this is going to suit someone who is honestly looking for additional energy. Someone who is, tired of the brain fog, tired of feeling like shit. Someone who is really just wanting a reset in their gut, because this is one of the fastest ways to gut health and healing. And then, This isn't for you if you're doing this for weight loss. This isn't for you if you're trying to figure out the next biohack that's going to help you do XYZ. It's really important to do it safely. It's really important to make sure that you have the support to be able to go through it. So when I did it the first time, I literally had a check-in every single day throughout the entire fast. So it was only 3 days, but I mean, still, I had a check-in so they monitored and made sure that everything was, that we were doing okay. And we had Q&As to make sure that everything was, so we had the knowledge that we were, kind of seeking when we were going through that. So a few little starter tips, like I said, is just honestly get started with 24 hours. It is really important, though, to hydrate yourself well when you're doing this and to break your fast gently. So you don't just go and do a fast for 24 hours if you're going to try, and then go right back to the way that you're eating, that maybe has caused the discomfort within your body. And that's one of the things that I do want to stress as well. And I'll be sharing with you kind of how I break my fast. But I expected when I did my first fast to feel weak and miserable. And what I actually felt really, truly surprised me. I love fasting, and people don't understand that, but they haven't also experienced it. And so now that you know what water fasting is and why I do it, the next question most people often ask is like, what do you eat when you break the fast? And how do you not undo everything and all the good and all the work that you've done? So in my next video, I'm actually going to show you exactly how I break my 72-hour water fast without shocking my body. Be sure to stay tuned. And if you are enjoying this kind of content, I also do have a free community where we talk about wellness for business owners. And I'd love for you to join. You can click the link in my description to be able to join. And we'd love to see you in there. I'll see you on the next one.